Hi, Professor Jackson. When I was asked what dispositions do I currently possess that I believe will make me a good teacher, three came to mind, and that is empathy, passion, and a caring personality. I personally have always been a person that is able to understand the perspective of another or be able to put myself in their shoes and figure how I might feel in their situation. And I think that I can use that to my benefit being a teacher, and that it can especially be beneficial to encourage me to speak and treat my students in a kind way. I have always been very passionate about history, so I believe that that is a key ingredient into being able to, one, share that passion, and two, simply be a successful teacher. I do also have a caring personality. I truly care about what other people are going through, and I want to be able to help in any way I can. My teachers affected me more than I could ever say, and I want to be that for other students, especially those that don't have their own safe place at home or other places. While I do have those three characteristics I believe will make me a successful teacher, I do believe I need to work on having a little more patience and working on some professionalism. I do not always have the most patience in the world, and I will have the patience, I believe, to work with students when they need some help understanding, but I do probably need to work on having patience with different behaviors and different attitudes or things like that. That's something I will need to put some work into. And the other is professionalism. As much as I'm going into teaching because I want to share and I want students to share with me, I need to remember my position is the teacher, and that it's not always appropriate to share everything. So those are the couple things I feel would be best for me to work on up until I have my own classroom and, of course, beyond. I believe that all professional educators should be caring, professional, educated on their responsibilities, and that they use their opportunities for influence in a positive way. I think that teachers are in a very special position with the way that they are working with malleable minds and adolescents and young adults, and are able to help them shape the way they see the world. And I think those teachers that accept that responsibility and work towards influencing that in a positive way are very successful teachers, and that a lot of their students remember them. I think that different teachers are going to have different influences, but across the board, teachers should have main influence of staff training and meetings on things like different codes for if a student shares something with you, what to do with that information, if it's a red flag, appropriate conversations, teaching on how to handle different behaviors. Those things, those codes are crucial to understanding and being a professional educator. Aside from those more formal things, they might get their influence different places, such as from their previous educators, what their religion is, just their personal belief system, or positive and negative influences from their adolescence. There are different dispositions different teachers may have that absolutely can affect a student on moral grounds and psychologically. Say if a teacher is standoffish to their students, some students are going to internalize that, and it may either make them work even harder for acceptance and affirmation, or it might make them shut down, and they may actually shut down in more ways than just in that classroom. They may connect it in their minds that it's not safe to be open and vulnerable, and that can be very negative psychologically. If a teacher is very open with their students, on the other hand, that will reinforce the idea that the world is a safe place, adults, at least most of them, are safe, and that it's okay to have feelings and that you should be able to share them. If a teacher is lacking a moral compass, that can go either way based upon many factors. Some students may look at that and realize that the teacher seems still successful. They might still seem happy, and the student may really look up to them, even though they lack a moral compass, and may follow suit in that way. Other students may realize the issues with that, and it may make them not feel good, and so they may go the opposite direction and work hard to exemplify different characteristics than that particular educator. So as I mentioned before, it is important to stay up to date on the different codes when considering what's important to be a professional educator. I personally do believe in the importance of that, and there are a few ways I want to keep that relevant. So I want to stay up to date on them when I am a teacher myself. I want to be engaged in staff meetings and training. I want to be comfortable enough to ask questions if I don't understand something, and perhaps most importantly, I need to be willing to reflect if I'm learning something about the most appropriate or helpful or beneficial way to handle something. I need to be willing to accept if I maybe didn't live up to that in a certain situation, or just be willing to look into the future and decide if I come across a similar thing again that I'm going to do better, work harder, things like that. I do also believe in the importance of promoting moral development in my students. I do believe that it has a place in formal education, and I think that the specific ways that I plan to work with that, it depends on the age group, since I will be qualified for grades 6 through 12. So I have a specific example for if I'm working with younger children, such as 6th graders. So it needs to be relevant and engaging to them. So I was thinking it would be a cool idea to have a group of different groups of 5 students throughout the class, and that those 5 students will each find a different video focusing on a main moral characteristic, and the video will be short and each will be shown throughout the week, and then on Friday the students will cast a vote on whose video best exemplified the characteristic, and whoever did win that will get a piece of candy as their reward for that. Say if I'm working though with seniors, another way to keep it relevant might be to do something like a current event. So say do current events once twice a month. So every other week do a current event, and then the student can focus on a characteristic in that and show and point out the specific ways that characteristic was or wasn't shown in that current event. So that is all I have for you, and thank you so much for your time. Good night.